this point, the damage might be irreversible. The damage has been compounding for the past 60 plus years. A net loss. So that means in order to break even, you have to get all of the things that has been lost in the last 60 years. After the foolery, the debauchery of the push for integration into white American society, the black flight of the affluent Negro, the upper middle class Negro, the middle class Negro, the flight from the Negro community of the 1960s, the destruction of the family. And this was all self-imposed foolery. Like a friend of mine, he's a 5%er in Chicago, he say, sin means self-imposed nonsense. Now, the Negro is compensating for their own shortcomings and insecurities by blaming Africans, blaming immigrants, black immigrants, for all of their foolery. At one point, the American Negro was the highlight of the entire world, the biggest success story of all time. And the Negro decided to throw all of this in the garbage can because they wanted to be a white man. They wanted to be with the white man, the so-called white man. Even to this day, the conversation is always around the white man. Now, if you're always talking about another man and not yourself and not your own plan for the future, you just basically forfeited your position in this world. This world is ours, but we don't act like it. We forfeit those positions. We surrender those positions. In the Art of War, Sun Tzu say, perfection is getting your enemy too afraid to fight. So you don't even have to fight the war. You just surrendered. This is what the American Negro is doing. It has done for the past 60 years. And there's always a solution to every problem. A solution to the problem is one and the same. It's an equation. One side you got the problem, the other side you got the answer to the problem. You just got to figure out what the answer is. You got to be wise. Sometimes somebody else can see the answer. You got to have humility and patience to be able to ask another person their opinion, because they might see a different perspective than you. You don't know it all. We don't know it all. Sometimes we have to go through immense tragedy and suffering and loss just to get the solution. But if we had that solution before the tragedy, it would have been a lot better. But, wisdom and knowledge precedes the solution. In order to get that knowledge and wisdom, you either get it from somebody else or you get it the hard way, trial and error. And you can analyze a vast scope of history to see situations that were successful and see situations that was unsuccessful. And the situations that were successful, you might just have to go back and redo those things that led you to the success. The things that led you to the failure, even though you want to keep doing it. It's like going to a casino and going to this machine and you just lost a lot of money in that machine. You feel that that's your machine. You're going to keep pumping money into this machine until you lose everything. Sometimes you just got to walk away and just accept your losses. That machine is no good. That machine is a pit, a money pit. And the machine I'm talking about is the Democrats. The American Negro been pushing putting billions and billions of dollars into this Democrat Party. Millions of hours of collective human time. Billions of votes. If you look at it, you got 30 million people. In 10 years, that's 300 million votes. Just 10 years. In 100 years, that's 3 billion votes you done gave to the Democrats. But I would say 60 years, so they got at least 1.5 billion votes from the American Negro. All they did was to destroy your homes, flood your communities with drugs, gave you crime bills, mandatory minimum. They destroyed your schools. They destroyed your businesses. What else they do? They brought in a bunch of immigrants to get the resources that was supposed to go to you. And in 2022, you still haven't got anything from your 60 years of pumping money into these Democrats. They told you, in order for you to get out of poverty, you got to kill your children. Just like what Pharaoh told the children of Israel. Like King Herod told the children of Israel when Jesus was born, the solution was to go kill your kids. Not, giving you billions of dollars like they're giving to Ukraine. That could have been a solution. But they never offered you that. They could have offered that to you. But they offer you nothing but destruction. Your demise is the solution. When you gave all your time, effort, energy, and votes to these Democrats. But fast forward before you gave all your time and energy to the Democrats. Now I'm talking about politics, because politics is one of the 9 areas of human activity. And that's what you're going to do anyway. Somebody's going to be in power. Somebody's going to be the president. Somebody's going to be the mayor. You might as well put your input in it and determine who those people are going to be and make sure that you get something out of it. Otherwise, you might as well start your own country. But before the blacks gave all of their power and energy to the Democrats, the blacks were the Republicans. And they started off with the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, the abolitionist movement. And then they got the black American Negroes to fight in the Civil War to get revenge and to liberate their people. And once they destroyed the Confederacy, the Civil War, the 1860s, they was given Reconstruction, the Freedmen's Bureau, in which it was elected officials. You had control over millions of acres of land. You were separate from this government. You built your institutions, your Wall Streets, your HBCUs. The power that you had, that you threw away in the 1960s, is the power that was accumulated in the first 100 years. In order to get that power back, the first thing that has to be done, you have to get rid of stop voting for the Democrats. On a local level, on a state level, all levels. You think you're voting for a black person, and you think black equals Democrat. But every time you look at the black community in the Democrat states, they're living in extreme poverty, below the poverty line. Economic deserts, food deserts. So what good is it? You look in the South, where the blacks vote Republican, Houston, Texas, Atlanta, Florida, Tennessee, they're doing a lot better and have more independence and freedom than Chicago or Detroit, New York, New Jersey, LA. He's living in Skid Row, poverty. They bringing in illegal aliens and giving them houses, free houses. They give you nothing. They tell you there's nothing for you, but they're giving Ukraine billions of dollars every day to fight Russia. But that's the first solution. You have to get rid of the Democrats. They want you to be a homosexual. They want you to kill your kids. They want you to be single, a single mother. They want the black man in prison. They want the black man uneducated, unemployed, with no business, with no credit, no power. This is what the Democrats want, because that's what it is. This is what you've been getting for the last 60 years. They want you to be a criminal, force you into criminality. That's starvation. And the first principle of biological flesh is to survive. Food, clothing, and shelter. That's the first instinct, the first desire. If you don't get that, you're going to get that by any means necessary, any and all means necessary, because the body needs food and air and water in order to sustain and to exist. And it's not like this government is giving billions of dollars to the Negro like they're giving it to the illegal Mexicans or the Ukrainians or the Afghanistans. They're giving you nothing. So this is where the underworld exists. And then once you separate from the Democrats, then that'll be one step closer to being independent from America, from the United States, and start reclaiming some of our indigenous land, because the Democrats got the black people's mind in slavery. Whatever agenda they push, you're gonna run with it. We're like zombies and robots. These are not even ideas and agendas that's homegrown. These are things that are being told to you by white liberals, brainwashing you, controlling and contorting your thoughts and your mentality. Every people have a right to self-determination. But the American Negro does not experience self-determination. They're being told what to think by this dictatorship, this Democrat dictatorship. That black women are being told what to do, who to date, how to think, what to do. There's no freedom. No freedom of thought, no freedom of speech, no free trade, nothing. We just slaves, zombies. So the Democrats has to be the first thing to be expunged, disposed of the Democrats altogether. Because they want you to kill the kids, to be poor, to go to jail, to be a criminal, to be a homosexual, to do everything dastardly, to do drugs. They just want you to be destroyed. And they want you to make you think, they want you to believe that this is for your best interest. You should fight for this destruction of yourself, this self-annihilation. Your pipe dream of integrating with these devils is never going to work. Because for one, they fear that they're inferior, so they don't want to be exposed by being next to you. They want you to have this delusion, this fantasy in your mind, this desire, this longing to do this, but it's never going to be done, because if it's ever done, then the whole mystique is gone. The truth is gone. Not the truth is gone. The fantasy is gone, because you have the truth. But the Democrats is the biggest threat to the Negro existence. The black liberal. Historically, the black liberal is responsible for the deaths of hundreds and millions of Negroes, American Negroes. And a black liberal wants you to be the slaves of the Democrats. The black liberals was the Negroes who was free during slavery, who had no problem with it, who probably profited from it. These are the same black liberals today who sit in Congress and advocate nothing for you, but expect you to vote for them. But that's about it, though.